Hello and welcome to another RPG Architect tutorial. This is going to be rather short to try to explain somewhat of a complicated idea with something a little bit more simple. So I've been getting a lot of questions about unique IDs and how they work with data sources. So I figure we'll go ahead and start out with something very familiar and hopefully drill down to explain it. So we already have a video on saving value with data sources, so you can have things like inventory slots, characters, equipment, all of that. But how do we get from there and using a unique ID? How does that work? Well, to make this very clear, you can imagine a data store. I've used the analogy, it's somewhat like a neighborhood, but we'll use countries, right? So imagine a data store as an individual country. So you have the United States, Mexico, Guatemala, Mali, Algeria, Morocco, Spain. And each of these can be considered an analog to something like character, inventory slot, equipment, battle actor or battler, battle summary result, etc., etc. So once we have selected our data store, you can drill down. In this case, I'm American, so I'm just going to use the United States as a quick example. And let's say we're looking for a character. So let's play with the idea of what a unique ID actually is now that we have a data source. For programmers involved, a unique ID and how we get from data store to unique ID is really just a dictionary of GUIDs, which maps to an object. For everyone else who has no idea what that is, that's cool. Let's go ahead and dig in. So unique ID may be something like akin to a state, right? So you have all these different states, and I want to get to each one because Texas has a different shape, different number of population, number of cities versus Oklahoma. And that could be somewhat of an analogy to something like a character has a different name with different statistics, different number of equipment equipped, all of that. So what happens is when you give it a unique ID, it's going to go and look and say, okay, I have this unique ID of Nebraska. Okay, here it is. Cool. Now I can pull up the properties of Nebraska. But let's say you have a unique ID of something like, let's say Algeria. Algeria does not exist inside the United States. It probably might be a city, but it's not a state. So what happens then? Well, it can't find it, and then no operations can be done. So if you want to think of it as a very easy example, a unique ID gives you a mapping. Again, it's a specialized hexadecimal mapping that tells you how to get there. It's a key. It's not, or an address. It does not contain the actual data itself. It's just a mapping that the engine uses to tell it how to get to the object. And then from there you can use the data sources to get the actual properties from it. I hope that's useful and explains some things. As I said, this is very, if you're a programmer, it's the idea of like a memory pointer, or if you're a database guy, it's like a primary key, and each of the individual data sources is a different table. There are a lot of ways to look at it. But for kind of the layman, the idea is that the unique ID is going to be an address, and you have to know where the address exists, right? You can't just say, hey, I want North Carolina in Algeria. It doesn't exist, right? North Carolina exists in the United States. So if you give it the wrong data store, you're not going to find what you're looking for. But then once you have it, if you are correct in what you're doing, you will be able to get the actual properties from there. I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are almost at 900 subscribers, so hopefully you will be one of those. Thanks for watching. Bye.